Hello again. Today we're going to be looking at fertilizing. So, fertilizing your fields prior to or after seeding will increase the yield of your crop. That's what we know so far. So we're going to look at the different ways of actually fertilizing a field. How we get the better yield from our crops. So, first up, we've got the Marshall ST 1800 slurry spreader. I think it's got an 8,000 litre tank, I think it is. And the slurry will come from cows, like a liquid manure. They produce it anyway through eating, and it will go into a slurry tank. Then we've got the Bergman M1080 manure spreader. Both these are base models, the very basic ones. Manure will be made also by the cows as soon as they start eating grass and hay. Both of these, if we get slurry and manure, will become free fertilizer because the cows are producing it anyway, so it doesn't cost you anything then to fill these up. If you're going to do manure, you are going to need a tractor or something with a bucket so you can scoop it up and put it in there. Then we move on to the Amazon ZA-M1501 fertilizer spreader. When this sprays, it's got a 26 metre reach, discs at the bottom flicking out the fertilizer. That's got a 3,000 litre tank on that. If you want to increase the capacity, if you've got bigger fields, you can also add on, there's an Amazon tank, basically, the FT1001. That's 1,125 litres, I think it is. So it gives you about 4,125 litres in total if you've got bigger fields and you don't want to run out and have to keep going back and filling up. This would have to be filled up at one of the fertiliser filling points, and it costs you money to do that. Last up, I've put this on. There are different sprayers. There's a 26 metre sprayer, but this is the Amazon Pantera 4502. I really like this self-propelled crop sprayer. On this version, the PS4 version, it's not self-propelled. You have to drive it yourself. But I love this. It's a really cool mod. Or whatever. It's not actually a mod, but it's a base game model. So we're going to have a look at each one of these. That one, interestingly, is a sprayer. In real life, all of these would serve different functions. On the PS4 version, you put any one of these down and it takes it as fertilizing. In real life, or if you've got a PC and you've got soil mod, it would all be different. So we'll start with the slurry spreader. This will spray slurry out. Depending on the size of the tanker, sometimes they have different widths of spray. The slurry tankers and the manure spreaders tend to go down very quickly. So unless you've got one of the filled tanks, you can go and refill to it, or you keep going back. So there you go, that's it spraying, comes out the back, liquid manure, slurry. Not particularly widespread on that one. Like I say, different slurry tankers, the bigger they go, the bigger the spread, but they do go down very, very quickly. So that's a slurry spreader. So slurry's in the ground, that takes it as the field being fertilised. Excuse me. So the manure spreader. Same thing again, this is a small one. The bigger they get, the wider the reach of the actual spray of manure. These are fiddly only because you have to load them up first manually. You see the actual reach on this one, very, very narrow, and they do go down relatively quickly. Not too bad for small fields. Bigger fields, it takes quite a while, but again, the bigger versions of these have a much wider kind of spread. But that's your manure spreader. Again, once that's on the ground, the game takes that as the ground is fertilised. Now you can't combine these. If you do all four, you don't get 4 times the productivity or anything like that. It literally just takes it as it's fertilised. So we'll jump into the Lamborghini, turn on the sprayer. Now I'll come back out for this one because it has got a very wide reach. These ones, this is the base sprayer, the simplest one. Actually, no, there are 2 smaller ones, I think, that do this. But it's got a very wide reach, so it's very, very easy, and you can set workers to do this as well. So very wide reach, but it costs money to fill it up. and if you're being a real kind of purist or trying to do it as real, well, you do use fertilizer. It's not natural. So if you're going to use, slurry or manure, it's kind of more eco-friendly. But most farmers will use all of these or combinations of, because each one of these will do a different thing in real life. They'll give the ground something different nutrients. The sprayers in real life are more for herbicides, pesticides, things like that. They don't necessarily fertilise the ground, but they give the ground something else to help protect it. On PC versions, if you're using soil mods and things like that, you would use combinations of these different vehicles to give the ground different things. You would also water it and all those things. Obviously on this version, on the PS4 version, using any one of these things does exactly the same thing. It will take it as your ground has now been fertilised, and it will increase your yield. Now this has got a 41 metre reach. I love this. It's just really good. You can't set a worker on this, you have to drive it yourself, but this will cover a field really quickly. You can lower and raise the boom at the back, and yeah, it's a massive reach. The only downside to this one, I think it's only got a 4,000 litre tank, really small tank, and it goes down very quickly. If you're doing a big field, you'd have to keep going back to refill. It's slower than the other ones, but you're covering more ground when you do it. So again, pros and cons. I just like it. I think it's a great vehicle to use. So yeah, real wide reach on that one. So that's the 4 ways. That's how you get your ground fertilised. So the question then is, what difference does it make to your crops? All the things on this page you say they fertilise, increases the yield. So we're going to test this out. I've got 2 strips here. One strip of crops, I think I did corn, laid down, not fertilised, and the other strip I've put down some fertiliser on the ground. So you can see the darker strip for the fertiliser. So 2 identical combine harvesters, we'll run them over each strip. The strips are the same length, and see what the yield is that we get out of it. So it's not going up particularly quickly. Got the straw swath enabled on this one. I think the other one isn't, because I was doing canola with that one, so that's probably not set, but it's not the end of the world. We're not worried about the straw swath, we're just worried about what we actually get out at the end of it. So you can tell very, very easily, especially if you've cultivated the ground, which you don't always have to, because some of the seed drills, sowers will cultivate and seed at the same time, but when you can really see the dark patch where you fertilised, so it's easy to keep track. Whether you fertilise before planting a crop or after planting a crop makes no difference. I have tested that. I did that on my Westbridge Hills map. So what do we get out of that one? I think I'm going to check that at the end actually to see what we got yield wise. Anyway, so that's the first run over. New Holland CR1090, I believe it was it? Yeah, with the Superflex header on it. That's the widest one. I think is a 45 foot stretch, I think it is. Yeah, so that's the biggest header. So you can see the difference between the two, the light and the dark. So this is the fertilised strip. So we'll run the harvester up this strip and see if the yield is any different. Because some people say, oh, there's no point because it's not like in real life. It doesn't make any real difference. There's no point doing it. It actually does. It does make a difference. Like I said, you can't multiply these up. So if you ran the manure spread over the slurry spread of the fertiliser and the sprayer, you're not going to get 4 times the yield. At least I don't think you do. That's maybe for another test. Maybe I'll try that and run it over more than once. But I'm pretty sure if you set a worker on it, it will stop because it registers that it's already been fertilised. So this is definitely going up quicker. As I said, I didn't set the straw swath on this one, but that's not what this test is about, so that's not really relevant. It is going up quicker, so this should highlight very, very quickly that fertilising your field does pay off. It's well worth it. Like I say, weighing up the costs of what you get back against what you lay out, depending on the size of the field. If you're going to do slurry and manure, you're filling up more often, and you do need cows and everything that goes with that to produce that. So paying for the others is maybe working out better. It's entirely up to you. So we got from that one 2,799 litres. And this one, 1,415 litres. So definitely fertilising the field, whether it's slurry, manure, fertiliser or sprayer, it pays off. It's well worth it. So there we go. That's fertilising. Whichever method you decide to use with every piece of equipment, have a go. Thanks for watching.